So, a little um pre-intro banter, but I was about to go get the chapters I need for this episode, where I scroll down, and all I see is similar genres, bartender. So just something just pisses me off so much. Like, oh my god, bartender is so different from what we're about to talk about, and you'll see why. But holy shit, this is really tilting. So I just had to get that off my chest. Onto the video. So here's one of my many filler episodes since I don't have enough time these days to commit to a big project again for a little while. Hopefully this will be the only one before my next big project that I'm planning. Anyway, I think it's time to cover a genre I think has been a long time coming, which is romance. I have an extremely soft spot for this genre, as I have fond memories of reading Kimmy and Love Finder as a primary school student. I was a weird kid, leave me alone. I grew up reading romance, and is how I spent my early high school years obsessing over harem anime and dating sims, but we also don't talk about that anymore. As I grew up, I mellowed out, saw that harem is stupid, and began enjoying more relationship-driven romance stories, which is certainly has been booming these days. Well, it feels like it has. It's probably just been there all the time. It's just I have just been noticing it recently. Now, there are a lot of romance mangas I want to tap into at some point, because there are interesting ones out there. But let's stay tame today, and and begin with Watari Kun no Axaxga Houkai Sunzen. Weird name, but well, it's mainly because I hate it. Yeah, that's a good way to start this video. So let's get to the point. Watari Kun follows the adventures of Watari, a siscon who has to deal with a cunt of an auntie, the sudden reappearance of his childhood friend, and a budding relationship with a classmate. You know, the typical cliche setup for having multiple routes in order to please a wide range of readers and to play the game of who is the main protag gonna end up with sort of shit. But don't worry, they made sure, it's different. How so? They made it so every female character in the series has something absolutely wrong with them. Like, first it's to stalk a childhood friend, then they tease something with the auntie who's probably just a really big brocon and doesn't want to show it, so, like, do Sunday brocon. Nice. And then the sister is overly excessive, and then it's the borderline yandere classmate paired up with the somewhat controlling mother. It was giving me mad school day vibes during the initial read, and I was waiting for them to get shanked or something. Like, seriously, early on in the series, it felt very tense with that, but as we went on, you realize it's just gaslighting you, and it starts to give me a different vibe, but we will get to that though. I do want to say though, some of these characters are assholes. His friend is an asshole. The auntie is an asshole. His childhood friend is borderline a asshole. But pretty much everyone is gaslighting our protagonist. It feels like he can't catch a break, and he does have a freak out later on, so at least they aren't ignoring it, but holy shit, this story loves gaslighting our protag. I actually feel sorry for him for being stuck in the middle of this shit. Okay, despite the gaslighting, if you were to give me the were you invested test, I would say yes, I was. Immediately, it's quite easy for me to get invested in a romance manga since I live for this, as I secretly know I will never have anything close to a relationship with another human being. But at the same time, I'm very easy to lose if I think the plot is going like the little bit south by the end of it. I do want to say though, a big reason why I kept reading this though was because I wanted to figure out what kind of vibe it was giving me. Like, I mentioned it was giving me school day vibes, but it was also throwing out syndrome vibes for me. Now, syndrome is something I will need to talk about in future in depth, so that's another one I will need to talk, uh, about later and add to the list. But my experience with Syndrome was a high that I thought I would never get again. So for me, Venus was somewhat chasing that high again. Although when I realized that I was completely off, I just completely lost me. Because in the end, I did figure out what it was giving me in terms of the vibe. It was giving me domestic girlfriend vibes, and I fucking hate Domestic Girlfriend. I mean, it doesn't get as bad as Domestic Girlfriend, but considering he starts questioning his relationship around the 40 chapter mark to go after another character was seriously pissing me off. It felt like it was ripping apart all my investment in these characters' relationships in order to go down another route. I personally would like it if he was just to pick a route and stick with it. But considering this is still getting printed, there's obviously people who like to rage read like me as well. Actually, the best way to describe this series is it's gaslighting. I mean, to an extent, most romance mangas are gaslighting, but this takes it to the extreme. It sets you up for disappointment over and over again, and yet people keep falling for it. And at the end of the day, I can't really recommend it because of that aspect, but I guess if you're desperate enough for some good romantic drama, give this a shot. Although I would recommend looking elsewhere. There's better ones, like, I don't know, Happy Negative Marriage. Just don't get too invested unless you really like being gaslighted. Now, excuse me, but I'm gonna go burn all this gas this manga gave me on something else.